reality, with all these stuff in place, how does phase one really look like? How does it all put together? First of all, you run Facebook ads. Facebook is built literally for e-commerce because they track all the activities, all the buying behavior, they track the call to action, if they have third-party pixels in place, all those things are really built for e-commerce. And with Facebook ads, all you got to do is simply drive to a Shopify product page, and then on the thank you page, give them a receipt on a coupon telling them to come back. This is how phase one looked like. Okay, just 3 steps. Very simple. That's our ultimate purpose. Now, one thing that you got to keep in mind, if you want your business to be scalable, in phase one, you got to make sure that your product have a is mass marketable. What it means by mass marketable, let's say that you're selling a product into the kitchen niche. Any person that's interested in cooking will want that product. That's what mass marketable means. If you want to build an 8-figure business, you got to have a product that almost every single person in that marketplace will want your product. That's where it shines. So you got to make sure that when you start testing this, is that you have the ability to advertise to 8+ digit audience size. Okay, that's really the number that you want to go. You want to start small, but you want to see, do you have the ability to go to a bigger audience size when you are in phase one? Now, in phase one, what we do is we do rapid tests with dropshipping. Your first product may not be the product that's going to sell. The second product may not be the product to sell. But whoever actually get into market the fastest and actually get the data right are the ones that are going to actually win. So I created something called the 3x3 ad formula. It should be just the ad formula, not Facebook, because it applies to Google. It applies to YouTube. It applies to any forms of advertising online. So what the 3x3 ad formula is that on the campaign level, this is your product. Your ultimate goal for the campaign is to sell it at one single product, whatever it is. Now, under this campaign, there's going to be 3 ad sets. Each of these ad sets are going after a different targeting, and under each of the ad sets, there are 3 different ads with 3 different messaging. When you're going through Facebook ads, you're going to basically create a post ID. We call this a dark post. You want to actually take ad number 1, put it into ad set number 2, and also ad set number 3, take the ad number 2, go to ad set number 2, and go to ad set number 3, and the last ad, same thing. So what you're essentially doing is that you're creating 3 different marketing messages to go in market, to go after 3 different targeting, to basically see what is going to be selling, who is buying your product, who is interested. So if you structure correctly, it'll look like this. The campaign is going to be your products. Then you have 3 interests. Interest 1, interest 2, interest 3. Maybe, let's say we're going to the kitchen niche. One can be, I don't know, Rachel Ray. One can be a recipe website. One can be, I don't know, cabbage soup or whatever. Then each of the targeting they're going after have three different messaging. By doing so, you're basically letting the data tell you the story. You always need to listen to the data. We live in the best time in human being when it comes to advertising, when it comes to creating online business. We get instant data on knowing what is selling and what is not, and what the consumer wants and what the consumer do not want. And we gotta listen to these data carefully, and by running that 3x3 method, we can actually see a lot of things. But before we actually go into that, there are data for alignment, for growth. Okay, there are always 4 different data that I always look at. Number 1, your cost per purchase. When you're in dropshipping, the best thing is to break even. Okay, a lot of people say, well, I'm breaking even, or I'm losing $1 per customer, my business sucks. I'm gonna just close it down. Guess what? You guys are basically just not really thinking like an entrepreneur, because if a business is breaking even or losing $1 to acquire a new customer, you are going to make a hell of a lot of money if you do things right. Next thing that I look at is the click-through rate link. In Facebook, there's 2 data points. One is click-through rate all. The other one is click-through rate link. Click-through rate all is really, I would say, it's false data, because it includes like, share, comments, people exiting on the ad. You don't care about those stuff. We are a direct response marketer. We want people to buy our products. So the only metric that you want to look at when it comes to click-through rates is the link. How many people are actually going to your website? Now, if the click-through rate link is not above 1.5%, it tells me that either the product is not selling, that they don't like, or your message sucks. They don't want to respond to it. And this is always going to be a primary number that you always want to look at. If you have anything that's less than 1.5%, I usually just stop the ad. Because there's no point for me to continue to fight the data and to continue to fix things, because I have no attachment to the products that I'm obviously selling. The second thing that I always look at is, is your cost per click link under $1? It sounds a little bit tough, but it's very, very doable. If your cost per click link is going to be above $1, it is going to be very tough for you to actually make some profits. And also, it also tells you that your click-through rate link isn't that high. Your goal, if you want to basically get in profit or break even, is to aim for that $1. That is the sweet spot. And last but not least, we look at the CPM. The CPM stands for cost per 1,000 views. A lot of people think that, oh, I'm paying Google, I'm paying Facebook, $1 per click, or all those other stuff. In reality, it's not true. You're paying every 1,000 times your ads are being displayed. And the CPM will tell you how aggressive or how competitive your market is. And if you have a CPM of like $50, $60, that means that you got to basically work a lot harder on your click-through rate link in order for you to afford it. So it all factors in. All of these works together. So these are always the 4 data points that I always look at in my business. Now with these 4 data points, what you will then look or have is the following. You will have a product that may work, one specific interest targeting that is working, and one ad that is working. If you have your data that comes back like this, you're ready to scale. You're like, bingo, I won the lottery, I can start scaling right away. Because by running this, we basically look at the data, apply this 3x3 method, we know what targeting works, what targeting doesn't work, and what ad works. When you have one ad that works, it's time to scale. So what we do is we take the product that is working, we take the interest targeting that is working, and we take the ad that is working. In this case, let's say that targeting 2 and video ads working. We instantly scale our ads right away. And there's 2 ways to scale. Number 1 is to scale horizontally. So you are basically taking the interest targeting of number 2 and finding more similar interest targeting as number 2. So use the audience insight. You will get a lot of data on what they look at. Use alexa.com, use similarweb.com. Those will give you more ideas on simply what else you can target. Now the best thing is that when you're using a 3x3 method, you already have a video ad, or let's say image ad, or a carousel ad, or whatever ad that is already working. You don't have to work on your ads anymore. All you got to do is take that ad and just fire it to however many interest targeting that you can and keep looking at the data. Now you can also obviously scale vertically, which is basically just increasing the budget. So when it comes to Facebook ads, there are 2 ways to increase your budget. There's a slow and steady way, and there is one that's more aggressive, but a little more risky. When you're scaling up your ads and when you add in more budget, do not increase more than 20%. If you increase more than 20% of your daily budget or your lifetime budget of your ads, it will reset the algorithm of your campaign. That's why a lot of people started to increase their ad spend and then things go south. That's the reason why. Now, if you're like, well, I can go after a bigger audience size, so I'm only spending $5 or $20 a day, I can go to like $100 or $200. What you want to do is to duplicate your assets and then put in a bigger budget. That's the most ideal way to do it. So when you're here, your goal is to simply get into what we call the 1% purchase lookalike. Once you get into the lookalike audience, you're well on track to build a $1 million business. But it has to be the 1% purchase lookalike that always need to convert. This is your ultimate goal at this point.